It drives itself. It goes and gets loaded, and then it goes and runs its route.
Hi, once again, everybody. Welcome back to the Comstock channel. I'm Marlin Bohling with you. Always a pleasure to have you join us on these videos. And once again, just a reminder, make sure you like these videos, and you can go down below, click that little bell icon, and that will subscribe you to our videos. That way we can notify you every time we post a new one. And share these videos with others. And thanks to your help, we've been growing this channel. It's one of the fastest growing ag podcasts out there anywhere, thanks to you. Well, today I have the pleasure of talking with Matt Jungmann. Now, he is the National Event Director for Farm Progress. Why do I have Matt on? Well, Shazam, it's the week where we have Husker Harvest Days, and it's already here. My goodness. It's that time of year, Matt. It's a very busy time of year, and this year in particular, it happens to coincide with it's basically harvest time. I've heard of people already harvesting dryland corn there. So the timing really couldn't be much better this year.
That's exactly right. We have about 350 acres of short season corn here at Husker Harvest Days, all completely under pivot irrigation. And, we've been doing it here for about 45 years. So the host farmers have it nailed down really well. It is coming out right now at about 24%. And we have nice warm days ahead of us. So that'll probably drop a little further, but, great shape for some harvest demonstrations, and follow that right up with tillage demonstrations, as well as haying and everything else that we do inside the grounds in addition.
Husker Harvest Days is always a very exciting show. You have something literally for everybody there, and you have expanded over the years. It used to be just basically a grain production trade show. And now you've expanded beyond that. You have cattle working demonstrations and that sort of thing. I think you even deal with horses now. So give me a rundown of what different demographics of our ag audience out there you have something for this year.
It is the show for the Western Corn Belt. So obviously it's irrigated row crop, like I mentioned, but then, you don't have to go very far west and it turns into beef country. So whether it's cow calf or it's feedlot or backgrounders, a great percentage of our audience either is exclusively in the beef business or has some row crop and then also has a diversified operation with some kind of beef operation in it. And so Husker Harvest Days needs to reflect that. So 25% of the show site is dedicated to cattle working facilities and seed stock and everything else that you might need, whether you're in cow calf or feedlot business. And we enhance that by having live head shoot demonstrations, as well as stock dogs operating and horse gentling activities and haying demonstrations. So all of that feeds into the beef side of the show, which is really growing and is really reflective of the Western Corn Belt.
For anyone that has not had the opportunity to go to that show, they might be surprised to learn how much of a quote unquote working show that is. I mean, it is a very busy show from the standpoint of, there's just a lot of stuff going on. It's not like you just walk up and down the streets there and look at different displays and booths and go, oh, that's nice, that's nice. You can actually walk out in the field and go right next to the equipment doing its job out there and see how good it works.
That is exactly right. I have the opportunity to see a whole lot of trade shows all over the world, and I'm not aware of a trade show that has as much activity going on when the show is happening. The harvesting and tillage demonstrations, the haying demonstrations we talked about, cattle handling, stock dogs, horse gentling. Couple that with all of the ride and drives and the other activities that are happening. You can weld metal, you can drive a Polaris Ranger, you can drive a Chevy pickup, you can drive a tractor. There's all kinds of opportunities to get really hands-on with the tools that these folks are using. And that's in addition to those side-by-side demonstrations, which are basically competitions for the farmer's attention out there in those fields, picking corn or running tillage or whatever they're doing.
And you have all kinds of test plots out there for
Yes.
different new varieties. You mentioned the pivot irrigation systems. That always appealed to me because there are quite a few companies that make them. And that technology changes all the time too. You can just walk right up to them and take a look at them now.
Yeah. whether it's the tire technology or the nozzles or the movement or controlling it from your phone. The big four pivot manufacturers are here. We also have about 40 acres that's subsurface irrigated with drip tape pipe. And then all of the things that go along with the irrigation business, all those folks are exhibiting here and demonstrating their products and services and technologies. We've got all kinds of autonomy all over the grounds. And along with the beef, we have an autonomous feed truck this year. So that, it's not just autonomous for the row crop guys. It's an autonomous feed truck brought to us by Harsh. So that's pretty exciting.
Now, wait a minute. It drives itself?
It drives itself. It goes and gets loaded, and then it goes and runs its route to do the feedlot work to feed the cows, and then comes back and you load it again and off it goes. So it's pretty fascinating.
Wow. Now, if you can have autonomous cattle working, you'd really have something here.
You would have something. Just do it all on your phone. That's exactly right.
Well, this is awesome. And of course, in the last few years, it seems like the big buzzword, pardon the pun, is drones. And I think you actually have some demonstrations on that going on too, right?
Yes, 3 different companies are going to be operating their drones of various different sizes. And, drones have gone from being something that takes pretty pictures and that kind of thing to really a tool for the business. And, whether you're having it done or you own one yourself or you're thinking about it, it's a great opportunity because that technology just continues to advance. Those drones get bigger and more efficient and better battery life, and all these things that you expect to advance in technology is happening and on display here and running.
I see a time in the not too distant future here, Matt, where consider how much farmers are paying for these big wheel sprayers and the 90-foot booms and all that. I mean, it's a big chunk of change to buy a piece of equipment like that, and it's all computerized and everything. But it doesn't seem like it would be much of a leap if you could spend that much money on an automated drone, a low-flying drone that had a big capacity to it, and just fly over the fields, and it would fly itself. You wouldn't even have to drive it.
Or a swarm of drones to cover the same kind of acreage in that amount of time. That's exactly right. And there are scenarios where maybe it's too muddy or something that you can't get a wheeled machine through. So a drone might be the only option that you have to get something done that needs to be done in a specific time window.
Well, and I mean, nowadays, of course, they use them for inspection. You can check the health of the crops. You can find out if there's a bad sprinkler head on a sprinkler. You can detect with infrared if there's a little concentric ring that is a different color of green or something. You can find that before much damage is done.
Yep.
So they're pretty valuable, aren't they?
They most certainly are, and becoming more and more valuable all the time as they just keep coming up with better uses for them, and so it's kind of fascinating to be on the front line of that as these companies are showing off the latest and greatest stuff here to the farmers in the area.
Can producers or visitors to the show, can they actually hands-on drive a new tractor?
We do have ride and drive opportunities, and as well as ride along and watch autonomy happen next to you. Be in the combine and watch the button get pushed that pulls the autonomous cart up next to the machine. That's a new merger. PTX Trimble is operating here at the show, which is it's pretty fascinating to watch that work, and coupled with all of the safety features that are included in that to keep everything safe and the stuff that's necessary to do a demonstration like that.
As national event director, did you have anything that when you were looking at the early rundown of the show and the setup for the show participants this year, did you have anything that caught your attention and made you go, wait, what?
There's a whole lot of stuff. We've got, our job is to make sure that this year's Husker Harvest Days is better and different than anything that anybody's seen before. Totally different than last year's show. So there's new stuff front to back, and the exhibitors do a lot of that work by bringing the things that are exciting. So, like the autonomous feed truck, everything in autonomy that I've done to this point has all been about row crop stuff. And now starting to introduce autonomy into beef operations, that's completely new. But we've got a great partnership with the University of Nebraska, focusing and creating content and education for women in agriculture. So an entire, segment of presentations and content focused around women in agriculture, which is really exciting. Some really fantastic people doing those presentations. And then we have a partnership with the Wall of Honor, which is on its inaugural tour, and it makes a stop here. That's a beautiful 100-foot wide piece of art with 9 different government seals on it. It's got all 5 of the military branches, the presidential seal, a seal for police, fire, and EMS, and it's a beautiful presentation. I saw it at Farm Progress Show a couple of weeks ago, and I can't wait for folks to see that. It's gonna be wonderful.
Well, that's pretty cool. Now, you do have something for everybody, and I know from my experience there, I was always just absolutely amazed at how many young people attend a show like this. I mean, entire schools will come in there by many busloads so that kids can experience what agriculture has to offer. And it's not just farm kids, is it, that have an interest here?
It is not just farm kids, and we're going to need more than just farm kids to keep all this, the entire agriculture machine running from the top of the food chain to the bottom. And so that it's a great opportunity for them to experience agriculture, the current state of agriculture, and a great learning opportunity. We'll park about 120 school buses just on Wednesday alone, full of kids. And, one cool thing for the community that we're able to do is the students that come, if they bring 5 non-perishable food items, they get free admission to the show. So this, in addition to everything else, Husker Harvest Days is also the largest food drive in central Nebraska for the entire year. So, those kids come, they get free admission by bringing that food, and it fills the food banks here in the fall all over central Nebraska, which is a really great partnership with a whole lot of great partners to make that happen.
Over the years, I've had a chance to participate in the show as a farmer, as an exhibitor, as a journalist, a media personality, and I've had a chance to interview people literally from all over the world. And I would imagine that you probably have maybe dozens of countries that are represented there.
Probably 30 states and about 20 countries are represented here, and a lot of it is around that irrigation technology, because that this pivot irrigation technology is applicable obviously globally, and these are all global companies that are putting on the biggest show they put on anywhere. So good to bring them in. They're all based in Nebraska, and so it's good for the state of Nebraska. They get the folks in Lincoln get behind it and really support the effort. We'll always have the governor here and the director of ag and everybody else, because they want to roll out the red carpet and welcome these folks that are coming from around the world to learn about irrigated agriculture.
Do you have any incentives for people to come to the show this year?
Actually, we do. We're taking a big step this year, and we are offering complimentary admission for anyone who will register. If you don't want to register for the show, you can still pay $25 and get in the gate. But we've already had thousands and thousands of people pre-register for the show. So, it's a data-driven world, and so, if we can just get a name and a zip code, we're able to tell the story better to the exhibitors and the folks here in Nebraska about who's coming to the show. So, complimentary registration for the show is brand new.
So, how would they find that to sign up and register there?
HuskerHarvestDays.com. There will also be QR codes as you get your car parked and you're walking up to the show. You can do it right there on your phone and get yourself registered walking up, and have a QR code on your phone. Scan it, it'll print out your badge and into the show. That's your 3-day pass to the show.
Really? Okay, so it's based on a QR code. So it's like going to see a ball game now.
It's the exact same technology. We actually, our parent company Informa, we're using the same system that they use at the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show, the yacht show in Fort Lauderdale. So that same technology we're going to use for admission here at Husker Harvest Days.
The dates of the show this week are going to be the 10th through the 12th, correct?
That's exactly right. Yep. It's always right. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the full week after Labor Day.
Used to be that in the old days, we always had the saying that, well, if it's Husker Harvest Days, you can plan on it raining. That hasn't really held true here the last few years, thank goodness. Let's hope the weather holds up for this one. Sounds like a great event. So thanks for sharing the information.
The forecast looks great. Show hours are 9 to 4, and it'll be a little bit warm at the end of the day, but the morning and the afternoon are going to be beautiful for all 3 days of the show, it looks like.
Well, If it's warm at the end of the day, that's perfect harvest weather. So there you
Exactly
go.
right.
All right. Thank you so much, Matt. Best of luck on the show this year. As always, Matt Jungmann with us, National Event Director for Farm Progress. And I hope you can make it out to Husker Harvest Days this year and experience it for yourself. That'll do it for this episode. For producer Brienne Hendrickson, I'm Marlin Bohling, and I'll catch you next time right here on the Comstock channel. Thanks for joining us on our Comstock YouTube channel. Don't forget you can also find us on Facebook and TikTok as well. Futures trading involves risk. The risk of loss in trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance is not indicative of future results.